for a second. I'm gonna wait for it to finish and come up on my screen. That way the early bird people can get on. Okay, I think we are good to go. Okay, hello everyone. This is Meryl with Akron Soul Train. Tonight I am here with resident artist Candy Coated to tour and discuss her exhibit titled Interwebbing, on view in our Burton D. Morgan exhibition space and capsule gallery through August 28th. The gallery is open Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 4 with special summer extended hours, Fridays until 7 p.m. and Saturdays until 7 p.m. when there is a concert at Lock 3, so check that schedule. Let's see, Akron Soul Train is an artist residency program connecting and empowering the community and artists by granting fellowships that provide resources for all creative disciplines to foster a more vibrant Akron. Before we get going, I'd like to thank Akron Soul Train's sponsors for their continued support. The GAR Foundation, Akron Community Foundation, the Ohio Arts Council, Leonard Family Foundation, the Brennan Family Foundation, the Knight Foundation, the Char and Chuck Fowler Family Foundation, and the Corbin Foundation. Anyone viewing, please feel free to comment below with any questions, observations, and we will get to them towards the end of the program. So after I break off with my phone, we'll come back and I'll be able to read those comments. And also please comment on any of the Akron Soul Train videos on our Facebook page or Instagram. Whether you enjoy this type of virtual programming, this really helps us continue to put out our best thoughtful and creative programs for you all. Okay, so Candy, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself real quick and talk about kind of the basic concepts behind interwebbing while I get myself situated and get into position to start.
Okay, thank you, Meryl. Thanks to Akron Soul Train and the committee that selected me to do residency there and all the sponsors. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming and also for viewing this in the future. I am Candy Coated and I'm formally named Candy Depew. I'm originally from Medina, Ohio, and have lived and done residencies, art residencies in different places like California, China, Wisconsin, New York, Philadelphia, and a few other places. And usually I do ceramic residency and get to work in studios with all kinds of fantastic materials and spaces and technicians. And while I was in California last year at this time, actually, or just before this time, the pandemic was getting to be at its height. And while I was there, I was doing a practice period at Green Gulch Zen Center and the Soto Zen Center in Muir Beach, just above San Francisco, where I was doing practice period with Zen Master Reb Anderson. And that's because of the pandemic, we had to cut that a little bit short, and that made me kind of come back to where my original roots are, which are Medina, Ohio. So while I was here, I was lucky enough to be able to get a residency with the Soul Train. And during the pandemic, I've been able to blow up some pictures with the library, Medina County Library, that received a large grant to build a maker space, and they have a large format printer. So what you'll be seeing in this exhibition, the large prints, are from my residency travels in China and in California and Philadelphia and in Ohio. So the idea of the exhibition is to kind of show that we are all interconnected, interwebbing, like we are connected more so by the internet, which is kind of known as the interwebs, and also by connections, social connections, personal connections. And when I was in California, I got to stay in Napa, also doing a residency there among the vineyards. And one morning I was having my tea. I love tea, green tea. And I've done a lot of projects with teacups and tea centers and tea wares. I was drinking my tea, and the sun in California is just beautiful. It's like a golden yellow, and it was coming through a spider web. The spider web, at every single intersection in the spider web, there was a little dewdrop, and the dewdrop was round and reflecting the sunlight and was reflecting all of the other dewdrops within itself. And a few days after I had seen that phenomenon, I was just like, wow, everything really is like in a dewdrop. I was reading a story about Indra. It's called Indra's Web or Indra's Net. And Indra is a Hindu god that had this huge net, a celestial net over the kingdom. It's kind of like a mythological story. And with that net, every single intersection of that net held a jewel or a pearl. And that pearl and jewel reflected also the other jewels and pearls within themselves. In my work, I'm obsessed with stickers, and I've been giving and making sticker designs and putting them and candy coating the world with the stickers and putting them on surfaces, and just made thousands and thousands and thousands of stickers. And those stickers, you know, they get around. You give them to people, they put them on things. But one of the main sticker shapes that I use is a faceted gem. And I use that sticker shape to symbolize that we are all gems, we're all gemstones, we're all multifaceted. And sometimes when the light comes through one facet, it'll bounce out and touch another facet. And it's just like we are very multifaceted individuals. So,
okay, I'm gonna walk back to the beginning of the exhibition. We can kind of go through each part of this installation. Okay. Such a beautiful story, I think, to kind of draw that inspiration from like that little bit of mythology, but also just the finding the visual ways to represent interconnectedness. I think it's a really, really unique, interesting way to kind of try to portray that.
Yeah, it's true. And especially now since the pandemic, we've done a lot of computer stuff rather than just in person.
Yeah.
Well, when
Hence
I was
this program.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly what we're talking about. We're all connected through the interwebs and interwebbing, interwoven. And we also find in this piece or installation some quilts. And quilting is also a form of connecting. So the pieces you're looking at right now are, that image is from a international tea conference that was held in China. And that was their opening ceremony where they blew up fireworks like crazy, and this beautiful rainbow dust, colored dust that went into the sky. And it just was so beautiful. So that's an image from that. I got to go to Dewa, China and make ceramics there. And Dewa is on the Silk Road, as well as its international ceramics city. Those pieces are plates with lemon decals. And then they're found objects. And I just added on a rainbow luster spider web to the surface. I like to draw on plates with lusters and then have them fire. And they seem like to me, they're like ceramic drawings or ceramic paintings. And the lemons are like Meyer lemons from California. So I'm kind of combining California and China there. The blob piece in the front is the leftover bits and pieces of being weeding out stickers. So that's actually refuse, but it looks so beautiful.
Yeah, I was wondering what was used to make this.
Yeah,
how
so
they're all weeding in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, I just peel out all the stuff, all of the parts that aren't going to be used, and then I just put them on a pile there. That's probably, I think, the 10th one of those that I've made over the time. And I usually exhibit the refuse. It's also how I make the quilts. The quilts are patchwork quilts, and we'll see a couple of those on the way through the gallery. And usually the patchwork quilts are made out of the refuse pieces, or the pieces that are going to be thrown away. But I sew them all together and they make a beautiful pattern. So that which was going to be thrown away becomes a beautiful piece of functional art.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get to the main part of the exhibition, I want to make a quick stop right here. We have these little pieces in our store available for sale. They are, I believe, $25 each. Am I correct?
Yep, and that's gold luster there. And they're little tiny teacups. Some of those are eye cups. That one is an eye. That's
I love the eye ones.
Yeah, good. So I made in Philadelphia about 2 summers ago, I made a tiny little factory, my own little factory. And I produced about 2,000 little cups there. So some of those are from that. Yet for this exhibition, I added gold.
Okay, now we'll get into the kind of main part of the exhibition. Should we start right here? You can just kind of explain each photo quickly. We can talk about how you kind of put everything together.
Yeah, for this residency, I got to do a lot of large format digital printing at Medina County Library in the town where I'm from. And I used to go to that library when I was a kid, and a wealthy donor had passed away, and she had given money for a maker space. And part of the maker space was a large format printer. So this gave me the chance to print a lot of the images from my travels in China and California, and be able to use those in installation rather than painting directly on the wall, like a collage, and use multimedia to create kind of landscape painting. That's kind of reminds me of Japanese and Chinese folding screens that have landscapes on them with little stories going on. So those pictures there are from from Fujian province, Dewa. That's the tea mountains. So the green tea is grown there. It's also the same area where the monk Bodhidharma brought Buddhism to China. And in those are rice fields, more of a northern area. And in those mountains, there is the most purest porcelain that you'll ever find in the world. And so I got to use some.
And then we have this one, I think is really interesting image. I'm going to try to get a good view of it.
Yeah, that I think is the coolest picture that I took of all my pictures, thousands of pictures in China. China just blew my mind. It's something that place I wanted to go since I was a child, because I love ceramics and I love Chinese art. So this is in the old town. There's a historic town, and I think I like putting contemporary or modern things with historical things. And that pretty much is exactly what that is. That also talks to me about interwebbing as well, how history and contemporary times are woven together, creating a contrast.
Yeah, and in front of this little section, we have more plates.
Yeah, I love the blue and white plates. I've used a lot of that. And these are plates actually that were from Japan that again have the kind of aurora borealis is what it's called, or pearl luster. It's hard to see, but they have
yeah, the light's not hitting it perfectly on the screen. There we go. I can kind of see the web.
Right. So that's about travel, boats and carts, and traveling about and going through lands and traveling through the computer and bringing the physical and mental together. You'll see a few pieces with the web design on it. And the city of Dewa is known for this porcelain called Blanc de Chine porcelain in China. And in that town where I worked at Master Lin's studio and was lucky enough to learn how to make these kinds of flowers. You'll see an example further in the exhibition out of porcelain. And there's the story that the original person or human was made of clay. So these are Buddha pieces made by masters in Dewa. Every time you turned around, you're like bumping into a master of ceramics that had been working in porcelain or working with clay for about 50 to 60 years. Wow. So these images of those masters collaged with their permission into these kind of cosmic backgrounds. I do a lot of meditation with my Zen practice, and I have a formal practice. I'm a lay ordained monk, and my Japanese name is Tobei. And many times with the sitting, you got to sit every day. That's part of the practice and meditate. I see quite a few of these kinds of images that are on the walls in my meditation. So part of my making of these paintings and collages is kind of to grasp that kind of cosmic, otherworldly feel that I get when I sit.
Okay, and then next to that is this photo.
That's a
And are
beautiful.
these of all the figurines, correct? Yeah.
That area is made, has the porcelain. These are Guanyin or Bodhisattva Compassion mostly. And there's like a 3-story one in the middle of the town. And quite a few tiny studios make these for a lot of the Buddhist temples throughout China. In that room, they're all drying in the greenware state. So that's like dry clay just waiting before it's dry enough to go into the kiln. This is my favorite state of ceramics, the green or leather hard state. And these are all made in like a little tiny room with about 4 women just casting and putting all the little parts together. And it just, when you went in the room, how the light hit it was just absolutely ethereal.
Okay, and then we're going to get into this section that kind of is put together like a really amazing installation of different factors, different materials, using the photos, the plates, the gemstones, kind of all together.
That's the view outside the studio that I had on the bottom. And there's a river that goes through there. So there's mirrors on the wall that are integrated in so that you can see some of the art that's on the other side.
Get out of the shot.
And this piece is the main like showpiece of the whole installation. To me, it's like a landscape. Like I said before, the Chinese folding screens, to me, it reminds me of that. So that beach right there is Muir Beach in California, right outside the Zen Center. And I would go to that every day. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful beach. Pacific Ocean, very chilly, very, very beautiful. It's on a part of the Muir Woods and also the National Park System there that John Muir is known for. And that area there is a lot of New Age thought leaders and writers of the 60s and 70s came to that area and hiked those mountains, the same mountains that I live in, and just wrote like new thought stories. Alan Watts, one person, and just a very magical, magical place that really helps you to get back to nature and to see how we are interconnected with nature and the physical world. And then we've into some of these other pieces here that are collages, paintings. That's a color palette in China for painting porcelain's the bottom image. And yeah, mirrors, the sky of China, which looks like the sky of California. Ring, collaging.
Yeah.
And the large drawing, so you can see, so that's a mirror and you can see the reflections back and forth of the other pieces across the room, giving it depth. So the large image in the middle, I actually made the week before the pandemic completely broke out, and that I had my room at the Zen Center was just above the Zendo, and the Zendo is the place where everybody comes and meditates. And I made the drawings of the figures in the space above the Zendo. So it's has a lot of vibes to it. Very special, sacred place these drawings were made in. And I combine that with ceramics, glue stuff up on top. Usually I use hot glue and stuff. I wasn't allowed to use that. So I used wax, museum wax. Ceramic are speckled in there. photographs of smaller paintings blown up. So that actual image right there, there's a painting or a resin painting to the right that is the original. So what I got to do at there it is. So sculpture to me is about scale. You can have a little tiny painting, and if you blow it up to like mural size, just your physical relationship with it changes because it's confronting you in a different way. Smaller things you want to own or dominate, but larger, broader, bigger pictures kind of confront you more, make you more open.
Yeah, and also it kind of makes you aware of your body in a different way, seeing the scale.
Yeah. So you have all kinds of materials and medias all arranged together like a three-dimensional collage. Porcelain plates from Japan with Chinese hand-painted cups. The top area is Mount Tam, looking over to the near beach, sunset. California is really fantastic because it literally is the most western edge and closest to the sunset. And just to see the sunset first before everyone else is every evening is quite a beautiful thing. In China, part of the residency is that you have to make artworks that stay in China. And I made a large guanyin piece out of porcelain, and it got packed in these kinds of boxes. So these are silk boxes, really beautiful. Love the color red, it says so much. Collages, butterflies symbolize freedom. Also in certain cultures, they symbolize death or eternal sleep. So you can have one image have several meanings depending on which culture. And there you can see the large peony flower that I learned how to make in China and got to print it out different sizes on sticker paper as well as archival paper. And if you go a little bit to the right in that little chair, that's the original flower that was made. That I brought back from China in my suitcase. So that's traveled probably 4,000 or 5,000 miles back and forth from China, California, Ohio. And you can see it's so thin and fragile that I broke some of it.
Well, that's part of its story now. I love just how the image is kind of repeating throughout this section. Right. Certain images repeat and it kind of forms that cohesion.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a master printer with a fabric workshop and museum, and I taught a lot of apprentices how to do fabric designs and repeat designs. So the best way to get something into the subconscious mind is to repeat it in many different visual forms. So you can see the repetition of the butterfly shape, the repetition of the flower mandala, the repetition of the spider web, and the repetition of the Buddha figure, Bodhisattva figure, and the teacup. All of that kind of gets into your subconscious mind, and the repetition of the heart. All of them are positive symbols.
Yeah, and for this installation, you really let color kind of shine where you put things and like kind of dictate, organize a little bit. And then in the beginning, you also had that kind of rainbow piece. Is that how you're kind of drawn to color, or how do you use color in your installations?
Well, color is symbolic for sure. Green is for growth. And since I use a lot of gemstones, the different colors of gemstones symbolize as well. And I started using a lot of really bright or neon-y colors. My father had an accident when I was about 18 years old that left him legally blind, and he could only see in shadows and some bright colors. So being a visual artist and having a parent that is blind was a little bit of a struggle for me. So I really popped the colors, and I would just try to make things that he could somehow maybe almost see. That's how I started using a lot of the bright colors. But color is also a subconscious healer and symbol for me. So red always symbolizes love and passion, and green is usually growth, yellow for the sun, for sunlight. But California sunlight is a more golden yellow, and that yellow I try to capture in quite a few of the sun paintings there. It's different than the sunlight color here. The sunlight color here is more of like a light yellowy lemon color, but in California it is literally golden, a golden yellow.
I've always noticed that, like, no matter, like, depending on where you are, the sunlight does change and it changes color. So I think that's a really interesting observation. Okay, we're going to move on to the first large fabric piece.
That's one of the patchwork quilts that I was telling you about, where the little bits and pieces that are left over from larger apparel work or fashion pieces that I made before are kind of stitched together to make larger pieces. So little pieces all brought together to make a larger piece. Individual people brought together make a community. So these individual little scraps or refuse pieces were brought together to make a beautiful, vibrant quilt. Some of these fabrics are from saris and silk. So silk also comes from an insect, silkworm, and is very, very strong. There's some gemstone symbols there, and it's all woven together. So the fabric of humanity, textiles, printmaking, screen printing, used garments, things that are no longer wanted, needed, or necessary, put together, are repurposed, upcycled, and created into a piece of art. So something that was in the trash is now on a wall.
When approaching something like this, did you have an idea of what fabrics you wanted to use or what colors you wanted to use? You have these kind of green and blue stripes that go throughout that kind of bring it together. Is that kind of how you put something this large, kind of approach it from a making standpoint?
Well, it's mostly random, and I was just using color palettes that was sky and sea, water, land, mostly that kind of palette. And I just do some, I've been making artwork since I was a child, and I'm 51 years old now. So sometimes I just do stuff. I don't even think anymore. I just let myself be, like, I guess I've been told I'm divinely guided. So I've been doing for so long that I just, it's like second nature. So I just sew. I've made a lot of patchwork quilts, but I don't make the full quilt. I only make the top, because I don't know, I like sewing the straight lines. Also, when I told you I am an ordained monk, part of being a Soto Zen monk is you have to make your monk robes. And the robes kind of look like that first image that you saw of the rice fields, and it's like a aerial view of rice fields. So this image sometimes reminds me of flying over the the United States from Philadelphia to California, air travel, and looking down and seeing agriculture of the Midwest and how the land is chopped up for, real estate.
Okay, and then coming into the back part of the gallery, do you want to go into the room or do this hallway first?
In the room.
Okay.
In the room, this is a quilt called a Bargello Quilt pattern, and it's a fraction of a larger piece, but it was going to be too large for the gallery. So this is 1/4 of the shape of the Om sound. So sounds make patterns, visual patterns. So I thought it was interesting to, again, take refuse material that are already have been used from clothes or blankets or things that people had worn throughout their time going to work, going to houses, and they have kind of that vibration of being used and being worn for special occasions, but then broken up and sewn into long strips, and then those strips sewn into a tube, and then that tube cut into other strips, and then those strips shifted and sewn together into a new pattern. But this pattern is 1/4 of the shape of the Om sound. So the Om sound is the sound that is kind of related to the F sound on a flute. I also play flute. And the F sound is supposed to be the most universal calming sound. And the Om sound is supposed to be a universal calming sound as well. So when studies have been done with making that sound a visual form, it looks like an oval shape that is radiating. So if you can see that this is like half of that sound, or 1/4 of it actually, the left side or bottom side. And I cool.
Yeah, I love this pattern and how it really looks like everything is moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's moving. It's like weird. If something that was dead or used up and then sew it together and it makes a new life. And actually, this whole show kind of makes me feel as if I'm looking at my phone or flipping or scrolling through articles and pictures and just all kinds of different imagery. And the pieces on the wall that you just zoomed in, those are screen prints on archival paper with some glitter stickers added to them, heat press stickers. That's a flower that grows and has 2 eyes, so it's all seeing flower and leaf. A lot of my work is about energy waves, growth, radiation, like not radiation as X-ray, but radiating as in the sun. And
I'm gonna sneak back here.
Yeah, I like the back better than the front of that.
It has such great texture with all those ends of the fabric poking out.
Yeah, when you make a quilt, that's all covered up and you never see that. That's why I kind of don't like making a quilt. I just like making the top. And that's a little guanyin that the little cups that you saw first in the beginning, that is from that exhibition. So a lot of my exhibitions, since they're site specific, season specific, and like time specific, they're only arranged for that time only. So a lot of my artworks just live on in like poster or photograph form. So that little picture that was hiding back there is a frozen piece of an installation. So this show will only exist in the form that it is now through video and photographs of it.
Okay, we're gonna exit that room, go into this hallway. We'll start here. We have these 3 large photos.
Actually, if you can turn around.
I can turn around.
Thank you. That,
okay.
So this is a little quilt, and that upper left corner is actually what the pieces across from that quilt are.
Oh.
Little corner there was scanned and blown up, high resolution scan, blown up. And if you turn around, you will see the left one is the high resolution scan of that corner. And then each one next to it, the resolution got smaller and smaller. So it looks as if it's glittering, but it's just ink on paper that was blown up, digitized. So each pixel or each dot turned kind of into a rectangle or a square, becoming more digitized and more broken up. So look at how many colors that purple makes, or how many colors it takes to make that red.
Yeah, it's amazing to see those little green bits in there.
So that's also what I was talking about with the gemstone that's faceted, that we are like that. Like, even though we appear to be who we are made of all of these different facets that when light goes through or darkness goes through, creates all different facets to us. Multifaceted.
I love that symbolism. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, these three pieces in that quilt really are the interwebbing to me. Just shows how, microscope, looking under a microscope, how something just looks so simple with the naked eye, but as you magnify it so large, it just like abstractly breaks down.
Yeah. So on this side, the 3 digital pieces with the different resolutions, and across from it, their source material.
That little corner up there.
From this little, I did not realize that it came from here. I did not make that connection at first.
That's it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like how thought and how interconnected. Yeah. Interweb.
Hand phone, scan it on computer, blow it up. There you go.
It sounds so simple. It's great.
It is so simple. Crazy
it
thing.
Is.
And then that's Kali, the necklace of skulls and heads and long earrings, and at the top, their hands made of that special porcelain, the Blanc de Chine porcelain from the mountain in China, that then become the radiating hands that go around the head.
Yeah, I love how this piece is collaged together so dynamically. It's amazing. And like the paper, the earring pieces hanging off in 3D.
Yeah. I like this show because I don't have to think about what something is worth or what I have to price something as. I can just make art without worrying about the concept of money. Because a lot of galleries, they're like, oh, you have to frame this, or you have to do this, you have to, how much is this going to be? I was like, I just want to make art. I want to make something that the image is powerful and has multi-layers to it and attracts you in a way that you don't really understand, but that you can take with you and remember or think about later.
Yeah. So it's like, it's really amazing to see all this color back here, but it's so intricate. And the different layers to it, they really entice you and bring you in to see all these little details.
Yeah, those heads were made at the beginning of the pandemic and then throughout when the numbers were rising and rising. So it's kind of like the souls of people. Unfortunately, I've known people that have had to pass and were succumbed by the virus. So this is kind of an homage to those souls.
Then we just have
a couple alien drawings just to round it out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so as I make my way back to the table, please put in the comments any questions you have, anything you'd like to say. By the time I get to my computer, I should be able to see them and we can answer anything that you have. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'm gonna spin a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna turn my camera back on. Okay, good. Let's see. Okay, we don't have any comments yet, so if you do have a question or anything, please write it in the comments. I think I have a few questions.
Okay.
So your approach, sorry, the sun is very much in my face. So your approach is very, I think some people call it maybe maximalist with all the different layers and everything. And the use of the gemstones and the stickers and the decoration. Do you ever hear that as a bad thing? Because I know sometimes the term decoration and applied to modern or contemporary art sometimes has different connotations. How do you view maybe that part of it?
Well, I'm using decoration as a sculptural concept. So I consider myself as sculptor first and foremost, like an installation artist and sculptor. And I tend to use 2 and 3 dimensions and ideas as and light and reflection as my materials. I am a master screen printer, and I'm also a master ceramicist. So I work in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions and other like mental dimensions. So I changed my name legally to Candy Coated because that is also part of my projects. I literally decorate the world. I put stickers on surfaces. I put pictures up on surfaces. I don't really change the integral structure. I decorate. So my sculptural departure point is to decorate. So people, maybe they might think I will give one quick story. In graduate school, I was in ceramics as my department that I was accepted into. Yet I took sculpture classes right across the hall, literally. And so I did both, always. It was always ceramics and always sculpture. And then this was an issue for quite a few people in the graduate department where they're like, well, if you just do ceramics, why don't you just put a hole in it? And then we can understand and approach it and understand like where you're coming from, because we know that it's like a vase. But if you're just making stuff out of clay, we don't really know how to approach that. And I was like, well, that's not really my problem. The story of the first human was made of clay, and like original Egyptian sculptures were polychromed earth. I really don't see why there's an issue with anybody having a problem with ceramics as a sculptural art form or decorative art, which is a lot of ceramics is decorative art, as a lesser or feminine or female or an art form that's not taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. I just think every little piece of your work, there's so much thought and so many different meanings to it that it really, like, every single piece is important and contributes to the greater whole. We do have one question from Joe, who's asking where that California sunset is. So I'm thinking he's seeing the top one in the corner. Was that from Northern California, from your residency there?
That's from near Mount Tam. It's the Green Gulch area. It's a little bit of a hike from the Zen Center up the mountain, like 20-minute hike. And that is a view taken from Love Cottage or Grace Cottage up there. And it's looking down onto Muir Beach. You can see Muir Beach way in the back there. So that's the magical lands where John Muir and Alan Watts and Suzuki Roshi and all different kinds of thought leaders and naturalists have come and been inspired and written about. And I'm just so lucky enough that I got to live there and take tons of pictures and then bring those pictures here because I really do. Those images and those pictures continue to carry that same vibe, and that we're able just to bring it into downtown Akron and put it on a wall, and hopefully will inspire people the same way it does in person. Well, I mean, it can't because it's just so damn beautiful, but hopefully just a little tiny snapshot snippet can activate its magic in downtown Akron.
And we have one more question from Joe. This is a great question, and I'm very interested to hear your answer. He asks, if you could teleport, would you go to the future or the past?
Oh, well, the thing is, I do that already when I am like meditating or in life in general. So I would like the past as in past, like previous of my current life, or the future as in like light years away.
Oh,
I don't know.
that would make a difference.
Yeah, like I don't want to go back to my human past or in this past, this form that I am. I don't really want to go back to that. And also, I don't know, like I have goals and stuff for future, but I don't really know if I work so hard to just try and be in the present because my mind does go back and forth all the time. So it's hard for me to answer that question.
It's a hard question, definitely. That was a great question. Thank you,
I feel like Art Deco era. I like that kind of look. But also women didn't really have very good rights at that time. So I don't really want to live like that. And future, I mean, I think this is one of the greatest times to be alive. I mean, really, we're going through some crazy shit for sure. And we have been. So I'm curious what the near future brings. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I would worried about the future being like Mad Max under Thunderdome. That too.
Yeah. Hopefully not. No, I like that idea. I don't know if I'd want to go to my past either.
Nah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to know the future before it happens either.
No. I'm just curious, yeah, because I can never, I don't know, like even the next day stuff doesn't do what you think it's going to do. So I just try very hard to live in the present. Like that is what my practice of Zen meditation is just to be in the present. So it's like I trained so hard just to do that. Then to have the question try to pull me out of that is interesting little tension that he gave.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, thanks so much for that question. And at any other point, if anyone watching this after we finish going live, I will try to look at the comments over the next week or so and get back to anything. Once again, I'd like to thank Candy Coated for giving us this tour of her exhibition, Interwebbing, and for you all for tuning in. Once again, the show will be up through August 28th. And our gallery hours are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 4, with extended hours until 7 on Fridays this summer and some Saturdays. So look at the Lock 3 concert schedule. I also want to let you all know that Candy will be doing a screen printing demo live on Facebook on Thursday, August 29th at 4 p.m. So stay on the lookout for that event. It's also going to be on Facebook, so you can view it at any time afterwards as well. But that's going to be a really amazing to get to see her process, your process, and how you make some of these images and everything. So thank you guys very much for tuning in, and we will sign off the live. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.